on. Well, good afternoon. Welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer. If the scenery looks familiar, that's because we've been here. I think this is like our fourth or fifth time. This is the St. Vincent de Paul Youth House, where young women live here permanently for 2 years and have a roof over their heads, a place to call home, and get their lives together. So we are here because there is a little bit of a controversy in town. And one thing we like to do at Rick Dancer, Get Real with Rick Dancer, is get real facts rather than just conversations that are going on in the community. And so this is Eileen.
Hi there.
And you are with the...
I'm with St. Vincent de Paul. I am the Director of Youth and Family Services here.
So tell us what's happening, okay? So you're going to build a home over in the Bethel neighborhood for young men who are homeless on school district property,
right,
which makes it possible,
right,
and feasible to do that, because
absolutely,
it's very expensive to get property in this community and to find property. So tell me what this house would be.
So it's going to operate exactly like it operates here for the girls, except it will be for boys. So these are unaccompanied minors. These are youth who are resilient, and the biggest factor that we should know about them is that they want to stay in school. They have a vision for their future. They're on fire to get things done and to accomplish their goals. And they also don't have homes. And so what that means is that these are kids that have housing insecurity, they have food insecurity, they don't know where they're going to sleep every night. And if you're trying to juggle all of that, which is a full-time job in and of itself, and also make it to school and get your homework done, it's virtually impossible. So we're providing the structure in which these youth can succeed.
How many? How many young men?
13.
13 would live in this home, just like he was here, right?
Yep, that's right.
And so these are young men who are trying to get their lives back together.
That's right. I mean, these are boys who are
ages what?
16 to 18. So these are boys who, because of family situations, because of unfortunate events in their life, because of any host of problems that they've experienced as youth, are not able to have a stable home with their parents anymore.
So neighbors in the Bethel area where this home would be built are upset,
yes,
to say the least.
Sure.
They aren't happy. They like what you guys are doing.
Some are not. Some are unhappy, but actually, some are very, very supportive.
So and most people are supportive of the idea because this works. I mean, we are in this house that it's a church that has been changed into a home for 13 young women who are putting their lives back together, and it's working.
Right, that's right.
And so this would be the same kind of thing.
Yep.
But people still, there's a segment out in this area that don't want this in their backyard. They're afraid of crime and.
Well, I think that there's a misconception that homelessness equates sort of, all of those bad stereotypical things. And first of all, that is not true. But secondly, I mean, I think it's really important to make this clear that these are kids that are already in our community. They are already living here with us. They're already going to school. They're already hanging out in our parks. They're already, walking down our streets. They're not teleporting from outer space. They're here in our community. And in fact, I would say that the more supports that we have and the more structures that we give these youth, the more that they're going to be able to, give back to our community in the end, and the more positive influence they will have.
And these are kids who are trying. They want to try.
This is a self-elected program that no one is forcing these kids to be in this program. So that means that these kids are tenacious. They are the fighters. They are working hard to make sure that they have their eyes set on a goal, whether that be high school graduation, college graduation, stabilizing their life so that they can have a future much like ours.
Eileen, if you can do this, and if I ask anything you don't want to talk, just it's fine.
Okay, I don't mind saying that. Yeah.
What frustrates you about this?
I think it's understandable that people are fearful, and I think fearfulness comes from misunderstanding. And I think it's really easy to other people. These are people that are not like us. They're other from me. And the fact is this
They
could be
are
this
us.
could be your brother. This
Right.
could be your nephew. This could be your son. We are all 2 or 3 steps away from homelessness ourselves. Every single one of us in the middle class. Even really wealthy people. There's studies that show we're 7 steps away. And the thing that keeps me from being homelessness is I have safety nets that I can fall back on. I have my family. And so I think what's really easy to forget is that we're all, that could be every single one of us. And can you imagine not giving your son or your nephew or your grandson the chance to succeed?
Megan, come here. Come here. Okay, so let's kind of get the rubber where the road is. Over here. So come over this way. Okay. This is Megan.
Hi.
And so you work here at the girls' house.
I do.
So what is the magic that happens in this place?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible so far just to have, there's 6 girls in right now. I kept telling people it's sort of like the Brady Bunch at first. There's a lot of, they're friends right now. They go and they hang out together and they're kind of supporting one another, and I'm able to kind of come alongside them and sort of help them with their goals and what they want to do. A lot of them want to go to college, and we're working on setting up a scholarship program right now, so that they'll have access to that.
So this gives them a chance.
Yes.
That they wouldn't otherwise have.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
So it's a house of what has always been, I guess, a house of hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm continually impressed by these girls' resiliency and their willingness and drive. To have an unstable housing situation and to be as successful as they are, passing all their classes, some are involved in extracurricular activities. It's amazing. I can't imagine myself doing that at their age, but yeah, they're some tough cookies.
All right, thanks, Megan.
Yeah.
Hey, Richie, come here. Sure. So this guy's a familiar face. Richie, you live in the neighborhood.
I do.
Introduce yourself, and you understand the issue of homelessness.
So I'm Richie Weinman, and I live about 2 blocks away.
So, any concerns?
I would say no concerns whatsoever. So the first thing I'd say is there has never been any pushback from this neighborhood, and this is a neighborhood that has been known to push back on some things.
Right.
We're right across the street from the school. We're on a
And they actually like you.
They love us.
They love you. And you guys, here's another thing to remember. And if you know someone in the Bethel neighborhood, share this to their page. Because this is real information, okay? The school, this is a safe place. If something happens and they go into lockdown over at the school across the street, they come here as a place to be safe. So they're obviously not concerned about the population here.
Right. And I would say when I first heard about this, I was curious about it. I didn't know anything about it. I contacted St. Vincent de Paul. I got a tour of the place. And then when they had their grand opening, there were dozens, many neighbors here that came to check it out. Everybody was extremely positive in this. There hasn't been any pushback at all. In fact, I didn't think it was operating because it's been so quiet. I come by here all the time. There's no cars in the parking lot because, well, what a surprise. These kids don't have cars. They don't have the money for that. And there is simply no impact at all in the neighborhood.
Now, you went to some of the meetings in Bethel to try to explain that.
I went to one.
And you didn't get very far.
It was kind of unfortunate. I tried to explain our position, and people didn't really want to hear that, honestly. They already had their minds made up. They didn't want to be confused with facts about what this was like. I didn't understand their needs, is what people yelled at me. Some people yelled at me. I think they had a perception that boys are different than girls. My perception is that kids are kids that need a place to live and need a place to succeed. And in fact, sometimes girls, my own experience as a parent is girls can be more emotional, more excitable than boys.
As your daughter's sitting over here.
My daughter is here by here. But the truth is, these are kids who want to
be
succeed.
Different. They want to,
and they're in our community. And 9.5% of Bethel school children are homeless.
What?
9.5% almost of Bethel school children are homeless.
So these are some of those kids who really are
They're already in that neighborhood.
They're already there.
Yes.
They're just trying to have a stable place to
These are our community kids. This is not some strangers coming here from another community to live in Eugene, to live on the streets. These are our children.
So why is that frustrating to you?
Well, I think we need to look for more options on how to help people. We need to help neighbors helping neighbors, finding a place for our kids to live. And we don't know why these individual kids who are going to be living here are homeless, but in some cases their parents are dysfunctional, or maybe there's an abusive boyfriend, or maybe who knows what it is.
Right.
But whatever it is, the kids are on the street and they want to not be on the street. We want to, St. Vincent de Paul is trying to find a place for them to live. Their other partners, Hosea and
Hosea Youth Services, Direction Service.
They're involved. We have a whole bunch of people involved in this I learned about who are trying to make it work, and we want to give these kids every chance to succeed.
All right.
Well, what's wrong with that?
So who can talk to me about safety concerns? Because that's been something people have asked about. So some folks in the neighborhood, anybody? Oh, Eileen, yeah. So people are concerned that, if they have safety concerns.
Yes.
What do we say to that?
The safety concerns that I've heard are children in the nearby park being at risk because of their perceived, the perception of these boys, or that the school itself is at risk from the boys. And I just would say that that's patently untrue to begin with. But also, I think what people need to understand is that this program has such strong structures around it. These are youth who are having a wraparound of care, and it's called wraparound. We don't use that term just sort of willy-nilly. That's an actual evidence-based model. And so these are a wraparound of care of caring adults who are making sure that they are succeeding. And that means being willing to follow rules, follow guidelines, follow.
So Megan, so it's. I mean, they are accountable.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, definitely.
They can't come and go as they please. They have to check in. They have a curfew, just like my teenagers someday will have.
Yeah, and I think the really important and cool part is that there's someone who's helping them with those things. So it's, they're going to come around them and say, hey, what's your issue and how do we hold you accountable to what your long-term goal really is. So they have a community and a support network built around them.
Okay, hang on. Come here, my dear.
Yes.
So you are with Direction Service, so go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Volum. I'm the Director of Youth and Family Services at Direction Service, and Direction Service is the facilitator of the wraparound planning that the youth are involved in.
What does that mean?
So wraparound is a high-fidelity intensive planning process where the facilitator works with the youth to identify goals, outcomes, needs, whether they be around safety or education, whatever the priorities are for the youth, and then the facilitator and the youth build a team around how to get those needs and goals met. So we might bring in someone from the school, we might bring in a trusted friend, we might develop new relationships to create that team of adults that youth hasn't had previously in order to help them meet their needs and work towards their goals.
So can I ask you, what are neighbors missing?
I have to say, based on the experience here, I think what they're missing is that there is a lot of support for these youth, so they aren't going to be plunked down here and left to their own devices. There's activities, there are people around them engaging them to work towards their educational outcomes. I mean, we've had such great success. A youth here arrived, for example, from a shelter and didn't have adequate clothing. The next day, we had community members giving us gift cards so she could go out and get clothing. So they aren't showing up. They may show up empty-handed, but there is a huge amount of support around them so that they can get their needs met and be successful. So the kinds of behaviors and things I think that people sort of expect from the Young Men's House just aren't happening because the youth have what they need.
So somebody, we were talking about that people thought that this was sneaky, that St. Vincent's put this. Can you address that? That this is just to introduce yourself. This is Richie's daughter.
Oh,
it's his baby.
Yes, hi. I'm Anna Gonzalez. I work for St. Vincent de Paul as a grant writer, and I've done a lot of work on the Youth House program, sort of behind the scenes. And what I can say is that St. Vincent de Paul has actually tried to be really transparent in the way that we're working with the community. There was some misconception. I know that when we received notice that we were going to lease property from the Bethel School District, we started to explore the land to make sure that we actually make sure that we could use the property, that it was feasible. We wanted to make sure that we were in line with the floodplains and that it was really land that could be built on. And in fact, once we found out that the property was usable, just 0.66 acres available from this gigantic lot, is only that small piece is there for us to build on. Then we almost immediately started working with the public. We notified the public. We've held the first of 2 public forums. We did the first one 2 weeks ago, the second one this past week, and we really are trying to be transparent and working with the community and answering questions and sharing information about what we want to do, just so it really can be a community project.
So what is your fear?
My fear is that people who don't know the circumstances of these youth are deciding that they would not be an asset to their own neighborhood. I think that one of the amazing things about the South Eugene Youth House is how many neighbors have a sense of pride in this project, that we got to do this here in South Eugene, that we are the people who are making a difference, and that is something that the Bethel neighbors eventually will also feel. They don't know it yet, but eventually they're going to say, wow, we did this.
Right, because you are helping a group of men, young boys, become men and be wonderful members of our community. And without this, they don't have that opportunity. So you either become part of the solution or you continue to be part of a problem.
Yeah, and I think that honestly, just like all of my colleagues and friends have said here, that this is not a high-risk situation, that we are being really thoughtful about how we're doing this, and that we have a tremendous opportunity to do really well for our community.
So, as we've said, many of the neighbors seem to be like the program, they just don't want it in their backyard.
I would say that that's a fair assessment of some of the neighbors.
Right.
I think that sometimes those who are really against something are also louder, but there seems to be a really tremendous population of people who are really excited about this and are really excited to do well with this program.
Well, I'm seeing lots of great compliments from people thinking that is great. So what happens now? Okay, a couple of things. So what's the process now? When do we start building, or is that going to happen?
I think that there is some preliminary work that still needs to be done. We're still working on plans. We want to continue working with the neighbors to sort out some of these confusing pieces and really work collaboratively with those neighbors to make sure that their questions are answered, that we can resolve some of their concerns, and then I think building a building takes a while. Our plan, please correct me if I'm wrong, is to start construction around September of 2019.
Okay, so a year away. Is that
No,
right?
that's not right.
That's when we'll open.
Open in
2019.
so spring construction could begin in the spring.
Yeah, thanks.
And again, there will be more meetings to talk to the public.
Yeah.
And if you have a concern, the best thing to do is to contact St. Vincent de Paul and ask them rather than listen to everybody else's comments about what they think is happening. Because, guys, this is the world we live in. We have to do our own fact-checking, okay? And you guys are more than happy to talk with people. You guys can put in the comment section an email address that people can get to.
It's actually askme@svdp.us.
Paul, if there's something you want to, is there something we need to throw in there, Paul? Just throw it. No, this is we just do it. This is
live,
you guys. This is Paul Neville. He's with St. Vincent de Paul as well. So go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to say we have an excellent FAQ, frequently asked questions, that derives out of questions asked by community members at our meetings that we recently had, the community forums.
Thank you.
Put together by Anna. She did a beautiful job, and we try to answer every question in depth that people are posing. People raise new questions. This morning we received some new ones. We're going to answer those. So we really want to be completely transparent, open, let people know what we're doing. And I appreciate the people who are coming to these meetings, who are calling us, emailing us, and asking genuine questions because they want to know what's actually happening.
Right.
I'm deeply appreciative of that, and I'm appreciative of everyone who has concerns that are legitimate, real, everything from property values to security concerns. We have good answers for those questions.
Come here, Richie. Come on. This is. I know this is so unlike television. This is just talk.
If I could add something, because in my past life I worked for the city, as you know, and I worked on low-income housing issues, and social service issues, and this is nothing entirely new. There's been a lot of history of people opposing or being really concerned about a low-income housing project, a social service project, a group home, whatever, and I would say maybe even 100% of the time, but certainly 99.5% of the time, once it's built, once it's open, there are never any problems.
Right.
And the fears are natural fears, and the reality is almost 100% that there is no basis for those fears. It works out because the people who run these programs are really well experienced. They know what they're doing. The people who are living there want to be there for good reasons. They are an asset to the neighborhood, not a detriment to the neighborhood.
So, and the thing is, Direction Service and St. Vincent de Paul and Hosea Youth Services,
Right.
this is what they do well. And
not only do they do it well, but they live here. This is their community as well.
Right.
They might live in the same neighborhood as this. This is not strangers coming in from far away and running a program. These are our folks in this community.
Yeah, I did the fundraising for this project, and I've got to say, I am blown away by the quality of the people who are running this. The people at Eileen, who's overseeing this for St.
Eileen is a
Vincent de
rock
Paul.
star.
Yeah, Megan,
She-
who is the house manager,
Yeah.
and then direction service. Jen Vollum, who's overseeing the wraparound and the facilitation. These people are so knowledgeable, they're so compassionate, they're so proficient, and they're so professional.
So,
By the way,
go
when
ahead.
I first learned about this, my daughter was not working for St. Vincent de Paul. So this,
I don't
this was
think there's
not
any conflict of interest. Your daughter's
She knew nothing. I knew she was not even in town at that time.
But you know what I kind of like about that, Richie? Because I covered you for years.
I know you did.
And it's kind of fun to see that apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
The
does it?
three of us.
Yeah, all three of
Rick
us.
and I
like-
were journalists.
We were
Richie,
journalists.
We were always talking to Richie.
That's
And
right.
now we can do really great stuff
No,
like
I'm just some old
this.
retired guy who happens to be a neighbor of this project.
So again, you guys, if you know someone in the
step
Bethel
away.
neighborhood, if you'd share this with them on their page, if you have questions, give the folks at St. Vincent de Paul, go on their website. You can find this information there. If you have another question you're concerned, it's not bad to be afraid. That's okay. What doesn't work real well in a community is when you let the fear run the best of you and create facts that aren't quite true. I would be willing to bet that when this house is built and these young men come into your neighborhood, it'll be one of the best things that ever happened to your area. I would put my reputation on that, because I have never seen anything like these kind of things happen without sometimes, and I've had to eat my words sometimes, and it's okay. It doesn't taste good all the time, but you know what? It's how your community works. So if you guys would take this, thank you, Amy, absolutely. Thank you for working so hard. Gary, thank you for, all these people who are involved with this work really, really hard, and they're changing lives, and that's what we're supposed to be doing, I think. So anyways, share this, spread it, have the conversation. If you hear someone talking negative about it, correct them with what you heard today. We can do this. We really can. We can change our community, and we can be a better place. But it takes effort, and it sometimes takes us a little bit more. All right. Tomorrow, we're going to be live in the Pacific Ocean on a dory out in the middle of Pacific City, out in the ocean out there. I know, I have a really hard job. I love my life this tomorrow. So I'm going to try to go live out there. I'm shooting a story for a guy with Mazama Sporting Goods, and we're going to be out there. We'll do live. And then Friday, we're in Oak Ridge all day, 10 different places, talking about trail building, restaurants, places to stay, new parks being built. So the whole town of Oak Ridge all day on That Oregon Life. We're going to be doing the show on That Oregon Life. And you can tune in and find out what's happening in Oak Ridge. The people up there are pretty excited, and they've got everything ready for us and to go on Friday. So we'll see you there. And then if you want me to just continue, Sunday we're going to be in Florence. Travel Lane County's taking us down to an outdoor on-the-beach soccer tournament in front of Driftwood Shores, and then we're going to do a show with Driftwood Shores as well. So it never ends. All right, see you guys later.